Dynasty Warriors is one of my favourite series to ever exist. It makes me feel good in all the right ways, and I do mean in all the right ways. It's one of the most gamey games ever and introduced me to the romance of the Three Kingdoms. And as much as I adore the setting and story, I never really branched out into other games that cover the romance of the Three Kingdoms. Which is really weird when I think about how much I like the narrative and its characters. So I'm rectifying that mistake. I'm delving into Wo Long Fallen Dynasty. So, shoo away those worries as I woo you with my thoughts on this game. Let me weigh in on my opinions. Brought to us by the lovely people at Team Ninja and published by Koei Tecmo, it's a third-person hack and slash and is considered a Soulslike. Do I consider it a Soulslike? No, I don't think I do. Like, it obviously takes a lot from those games, but I feel it has a certain movement to it, especially when it comes to things like platforming in the game. Like, maybe I just struggle to define what a true Souls-like is. I don't think it has the same difficulty curve that is synonymous with it. And while it definitely borrows certain aspects associated with Souls-like games with its leveling system and some elements in level design, I still feel it isn't a true Souls-like. I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it properly fits Wo Long Fallen Dynasty. But we'll get to that in a bit. For now, let's move on to the plot. Narratively, this game takes place before the three main forces Shu, Wei and Wu to be at each other's throats. So you got the classic Yellow Turban Rebellion, the conflict with Dong Zhuo, and then a final battle against Yuan Shao. Of course, throughout all these battles, supernatural elements have been added in. Ki, which our main speechless character uses, and demonic ki that corrupts the land and transforms people into demons. The story is simple enough, and personally I enjoyed it a hell of a lot because I know these scenarios and characters from all my years of Dynasty Warriors. I simply got giddy from seeing the likes of Sun Jian, Guan Yu and Lu Bu. I'm not sure how well it would hold up to someone new to the whole period of the Three Kingdoms story. I just don't think there's enough there for people without prior investment to gain interest in this cast of characters and narrative. I think there is some seriously cool elements, like seeing leading characters demonized and then getting to fight them. Not only is their designs as demons fantastic, it's just fascinating to see the cast in this perspective. Would have loved a bit more depth to them, but there's enough of a story there to keep you interested. But I do feel like my boy Sun Ce was done dirty. Like, really fucking dirty. Sun Jian, you get to murder him in his demonic form, and you save Liu Bei and Xiahou Dun from their demon forms. But Sun Ce, nah, he doesn't even get a boss battle for his demise. He dies in a cutscene! A cutscene! Sun Ce, the little conqueror, killed so simply and unceremoniously. I can't stand for it. Sun Ce deserved better. I will never forgive the writers. But apart from that, plot be decent. Though we're here to find out about how satisfying it would be to fight people, monkeys, tigers, and whatever the hell this thing is. You have two modes of attack, melee consisting of light, heavy, and a martial arts attack that is like a stronger heavy attack. Then we have magic. Not gonna lie, I didn't use this at all. I tried it, but I just had more fun hitting things with my weapons. So after the first mission I just dropped magic, just no interest in it. But the combat I had loads of fun with. It has a fantastic system with its stamina, where if you use light attacks you can build up the right side of the bar and unleash a heavy attack without being interrupted. On the left side of the stamina bar, which grows from being attacked and using heavy attacks, if it reaches its end you're stunned for a bit, giving your foe the time to really punish you. There's more depth to it with the weight of your equipment too. The heavier you are, the more stamina you use. So you do have to do a bit of thinking when you choose how to outfit your character. You can get around this with one of the leveling up options, focusing on handling more weight and less strainage on your stamina bar. But it's a slow steady process if you want to wear some of the heavier armor within the game. There's two leveling systems, your standard one which was just mentioned where you get points from enemies killed to level up your stats, and then there's one based around each level in the game that is the morale system. Basically, the more enemies you beat increase the morale, but if your stamina bar is broken or you die, it decreases. But the higher your morale do be, the more power you'll have behind your attacks, and less damage you take when you get hit. I think this is a really neat setup. It's that extra layer of strategy if you want to go into battles as strong as possible. and it makes a huge difference. If your morale is higher than your enemies even by a bit, you shouldn't struggle too much at all, and it can be a big boost when you enter a boss fight. Now, I don't think this game is overly difficult. It still has a learning curve, especially with some monsters that have long wind-ups for their attacks. It took a while to get the pattern of attacks down, and even by the end I was still fucking up on it. Just a handful of enemy attacks that were really hard to read and really just could mess up your day and frustrate the fuck out of you immensely. The boss battles are the biggest challenge, but still, once you get a handle of the mechanics, like you'll be beating them on your first or second try usually. The only time I had difficulty in this game was that I forgot to upgrade my equipment for a very long time. So when I came up against Lu Bu, he basically used me as a mop to wipe the floor. I just could not beat him for the life of me, so after a wee while of grinding by bullying all the weaker foes, I recalled that you could enhance your weapons and armor. Then I kicked Lu Bu's arse. He was still tough, but nothing mad hard, so if you keep yourself spec'd up, you really won't struggle too much. And if you do get stuck, you can always call in assistance from allies you made along the way, and you bet I called upon them whenever I could. I like these characters too much to just leave them on the sidelines and go with the game solo. This probably helped make this game a little easier for me, so maybe that's why I didn't struggle as much. You do have the ability to summon other players to help you out, but I never use that. No way I'm paying ludicrous money for PlayStation Plus just for online gaming. Was more than happy to have my AI control boys like Sun Ce and Zhang Fei at my side slaying demonic foes. You have a bunch of weapons to choose from to decimate your enemies, and there is a distinct feel between them. My favourite was the dual swords that had a quickness to them and some really cool finishers. I didn't try all types of weapons, but with the 4 or so that I stuck with and played a good bit on, it definitely gives you a strong replay value to go back and mess around with other weapons with how each weapon handles differently enough to make the game feel fresh. One of the things I thoroughly enjoyed was the actual traversal. I love the verticality to the maps and how you can jump around them. It was always fun trying to get the high ground and jumping the poor buggers before they even had the chance to see you. It felt oddly satisfying to do this in-game over other games that have the same option. And the areas themselves are fun to explore, which adds even more enjoyment to the traversal of the maps. They're not overly big yet offer enough different branching parts that offer extra challenging encounters and more ways to power up. There's a nice cohesiveness to each map that makes them a joy to jump around. There's also these wee bear-like creatures that you can offer up items and gear to in hopes of getting an extra shiny item in return. They also start to inhabit the hub world as you find them, which is pretty cute in my opinion. And look at this wee fella hanging from the cliff. Wouldn't you just want to pick him up and hurl him off the side of the mountain? Overall, the gameplay is solid across the board. There is some serious enjoyment to be had from this game, from traversal, managing gear, weapons and combat. The game just ticks all the right boxes that makes it feel so good to play. And for a game that focuses on its gameplay more so than anything else, it's nice when everything comes together in a neat package. Now, the game is graphically lovely, especially when it comes to the demons and this freaking boss that I can't even begin to describe. Just look at this blob of horror, it's grotesque. I love it. And side note, but this game really handles big bosses really well. I do find that when you have a boss fight where said boss is massive, in most games it doesn't feel like the size matters. But in Wo Long, there's a weight and reaction from your attacks on them that makes these big buggers feel engaging to fight. But yeah, game looks great. Like, even the armor that you can pick up looks so freaking cool. Just look at this one, which is basically you wearing a tree. It has no right looking this damn cool. It's literally a dead tree growing out of you, but it looks deadly. Even the locations are stunning, from the snowy rooftops of a flooded city to lush forests, jumping between boats, and stumbling through demonic caves. There's a lot of variety to the landscapes your eyes will bear witness to. And also, I really dig the style of Chinese castles and buildings from this time period. Perhaps it's just visuals you don't see as often in games, but it's nice to see the culture of other countries through the structures built in games. It's such a fascinating aspect of video games in general and is why I love certain games, like the Assassin's Creed series. There's something so wondrous about broadening your perspective of the world through the media of gaming, and it's something that's not nearly discussed enough in my opinion. It's mad where games can take us and teach us of other parts of the world we may never see in person. The music is quite strong. It has a real eerie, horror-like vibe to a lot of it, which is great for setting the tone, and complements the demonic designs of creatures. I found its tunes atmospheric and really helped get you into the world of Wo Long Fallen Dynasty. Even the more combat-esque pieces still hold that sinister undertone. Kenshiro Sahiro did a banging job as the composer of this game. I honestly wasn't expecting this sort of vibe from its music, but damn it's good, and it suits. Wo Long Fallen Dynasty is a good game. I can see why people call it a Soulslike, but I don't think the difficulty reflects that, nor does its movement through its more vertical-like levels be anything like any other Soulslike in my opinion. It obviously takes a lot of inspiration from it, such as leveling systems and checkpoints, but I do feel it's more of its own thing. It's a solid experience that you can't go wrong with, a decent narrative, strong gameplay, great level design and graphics, with some really good music to accompany it. However, for as much boxes as it ticks, for as much as I liked and enjoyed playing this game, I don't think it's one that's going to stick in my memories as a game I'll remember fondly. Even though it's a good game, I fear it's just one of those that will fade away among the many games I have played. And that's sad when I think about it. I feel like this game is missing a wow factor, but I'm not sure what that missing factor is that it needs. But listen, you can't go wrong with the game if you choose to pick it up. And that's where I'll leave it. Well, until next time buddies, take her handy.